A case of varicose veins. This case presentation is the 8th in the series of Cassette-Clinics of General Surgery prepared by Dr. Ghanashyam Vaidya from Karnataka Health Institute, Ghataprabha, an ex-student of St. G.S. Medical College and the KEM Hospital, Mumbai. A 30 years old Hindu male patient Sitaram, staying in Parel, working in a factory, comes with complaints of a tortuous swelling in the left leg since 5 years and dragging pain on walking since 2 months. What do the patients of varicose veins usually present with? The patient may come for the swelling itself, that is for cosmetic reasons, especially in females, or the patient may come for its secondary effect like dragging pain in the leg, edema of ankle and foot, or itching, blackening, oozing or ulceration in the lower third of legs. Young males desiring to join army or police force may need its treatment for medical fitness. Where else do you get unilateral edema of the feet? Sir, lymphatic obstruction due to filariasis, Milroy's disease or malignant deposits in the inguinal lymph nodes, or destruction of the lymphatic field by radiotherapy or block dissection of the groin. Secondly, obstruction to deep veins due to deep vein thrombosis or compression of the deep veins by an intra-abdominal or retroperitoneal mass. Thirdly, varicose veins, and lastly, post-traumatic following sprains and fractures. What does this patient have? The patient was apparently alright 5 years back when he first noticed the tortuous swelling in the left leg. It was painless and seen only on standing. It has gradually increased in size since then to the present dimensions. He also complains of dragging pain in the same leg on walking a few hundred meters. It is never sharpshooting and it is always relieved by rest and elevation of the limb. There is no history of intermittent claudications and rest pain. Does varicosity cause intermittent claudications? No sir, but I want to rule out pain of arterial origin. Regarding complications, there is no history of blackening, itching, oozing or ulceration in the lower third of the leg. No history of edema towards the evening. No history of bleeding from the swelling. No history of attacks of redness and pain along the swelling with fever. Why did you ask that? For any recent attack of superficial thrombophlebitis in the vein. Any clinical significance? Yes sir. If such an attack be present, then either injection sclerotherapy or surgery should be postponed to at least 3 months after the attack has subsided. Anything else? It may suggest associated Berger's disease, polyarthritis or polycythemia. Regarding associated pathologies, no history of similar swelling in the opposite leg, no history of bleeding per rectum, no history of scrotal swelling or dragging pain in the scrotum on prolonged standing. Thus ruling out associated piles and varicocele. As to the etiology, there is history of working in standing position without elastic stockings for 8 hours a day for last 10 years. Why does standing position favor the development of varicosities? Sir, in standing position, the entire weight of the blood column from the heart to the leg is borne by the leg veins. If this pressure is maintained continuously for prolonged periods, it produces incompetency of the valves and increased pressure within the lumen of the veins, resulting into dilatation, then elongation, tortuosity and sacculation of the vein. What are the other common causes of varicosities? Deep vein thrombosis and pressure on the veins in their course. What history did you ask for that? For deep vein thrombosis, I asked for history of fever with calf pain and swelling and history of prolonged recumbency, recent fracture or operation. For pressure on the veins, I asked for any lump in the groin or abdomen and history of bladder or bowel disturbances. In a female, I would have asked for history of taking contraceptive pills and history of recent or present pregnancy with calf swelling. How does pregnancy cause varicosities? Mainly due to the action of progesterone and relaxin, which causes relaxation of the smooth muscle in the vein walls. In the last trimester, pressure of the gravid uterus on the iliac veins and pressure of the colon due to constipation also aggravates the condition. These varicosities which arise during pregnancy will decrease after the pregnancy is over. Anything else in history? No history of taking any treatment for the swelling. Personal history is not contributory. No history of varicose veins in the family. Is there any significance of family history in varicose veins? It may suggest familial absence of the walls in iliac veins, so that all the back pressure is borne by the saphenofemoral wall, which gives way in early adult life, causing primary varicosities. Go ahead. On general examination, start with the local examination. On inspection, there is a tortuous, dilated, non-pulsatile vessel extending from in front of the medial malleolus along the medial aspect of the leg and thigh. There is no dilatation of the short saphenous system. Can varicose veins be pulsatile? Yes, sir. If they are secondary to a arteriovenous fistula, they can be pulsatile. There is no ankle flare, no blowout, no saphenavaries. What is an ankle flare? It is a diffuse hemangiomatous swelling filling the hollow between the medial malleolus and the heel, produced by the dilatation of delicate cutaneous venules draining the ankle and the heel. And what is its significance? It indicates incompetency of the lower ankle perforator. So it is seen only in varicose veins secondary to deep vein thrombosis. And what is a blowout? Sir, blowout is a visible varix, a local dilatation of the vein situated over an incompetent perforator. The forceful flow of the blood through the perforator, which is at right angles to the saphenous vein, produces dilatation of the opposite wall like a saccular aneurysm, and it is termed as a blowout. Blowouts are usually situated over the sites of constant medial leg perforators. A blowout over the saphenous opening is termed as the saphena varix. Proceed. There are no dilated veins over the lower abdomen, hypogastrium and iliac crest. The vein collapses when the leg is raised. What is the significance? That there is no thrombosis in the vein and no obstruction to its flow into the iliac veins. The skin over the medial aspect of the lower third of leg is pigmented and scaly. No oozing, ulceration or edema, no deformity of ankle. Why is the skin pigmented? Due to increased venous pressure, there is back pressure in the capillaries with extravasation of RBCs and high molecular weight proteins. The red cells break into heme and globin. Hemosiderin, the iron-containing pigment, is ingested by the dermal macrophages, plus the melanocytic reaction stimulated by it produces hyperpigmentation in the skin. The biliverdin derived from the heme part irritates the nerve endings to produce itching. Scaling and oozing are due to dry or wet eczema. What is eczema? Eczema is a non-contagious inflammatory condition of the skin in response to exogenous or endogenous stimuli. What is the stimulus here? The trauma of scratching, sometimes application of herbal preparations. What are the complications of varicose veins? Superficial thrombophlebitis, pigmentation of skin, eczema and lipodermatosclerosis, varicose ulcer, bleeding from the rupture of varicose veins, calcification of the veins, periosteitis and talipes equinus. What is talipes equinus? Talipes means a deformity of foot and equinus means like a horse. That is deformity with plantar flexion of the foot so that the patient walks on the toes. Why do you get this deformity in varicose veins? Sir, this deformity is the result of a long-standing varicose ulcer, where in an attempt to get relief from the discomfort while walking, the patient develops a faulty habit of walking on the toes and lateral border of the foot, which relaxes the soft tissue around the medial aspect of the ankle over which the ulcer rests. After some time, the tendoachilles becomes contracted and the deformity becomes permanent. Anything else on inspection? The Morris's test is positive. No, that we will discuss with the specific tests. Proceed with palpation. On palpation, the vein shows no local rise of temperature or tenderness. It is collapsible, no cord-like thickening or nodules along the vein, thus ruling out superficial thrombophlebitis. No pit is palpable along the vein by Fagan's method. How did you palpate by Fagan's method? First, with the patient standing, I marked the course of the vein by a skin pencil. Then I made the patient to lie down and lifted the leg to about 30 degrees, allowing the vein to collapse completely. Then I palpated along the length of the vein for a defect in the deep fascia. It is felt as a circular opening with sharp edges. The site should be marked with a cross. What is its significance? It is the defect in the deep fascia produced by the dilatation of an incompetent perforator passing through the deep fascia. How will you confirm this finding? By Ochsner-Mahorner's differential tourniquet test, where an isolated segment of the vein in connection with this perforator will be seen to fill up rapidly. The cuff impulse test is positive, Schwarz test is positive. What is cuff impulse test? With the patient in standing position, keep the pulp of the middle finger lightly just below the saphenous opening. How do you locate the saphenous opening? Sir, the saphenous opening is 3.8 centimeters, that is 1.5 inches below and lateral to the pubic tubercle. Right. So the finger is applied just below this opening and the patient is asked to cuff. If fluid thrill is felt, the test is considered as positive and it indicates incompetency of saphenofemoral wall. Is it the same as Cuvelier's sign? No sir, it is similar, but Cuvelier's sign is a test for saphena varix. What is saphena varix? It is a single varix or blowout situated close to the saphenous opening. In Cuvelier's sign, a finger is kept over the saphena varix and the patient is asked to cuff. A tremor is felt as if a jet of water is entering and filling the pouch. It indicates incompetency of the saphenofemoral wall. What is the significance? Incompetency of saphenofemoral wall. The test is also useful to differentiate saphena varix from femoral hernia. How else can you differentiate these two conditions? Sir, saphena varix is softer to feel than the femoral hernia and its bluish color may be appreciable in fair-skinned persons. On cuffing, Cuvelier's sign will be noticed in saphena varix, while in femoral hernia, usually there is no change, but sometimes an expansile impulse might be present. Lastly, the associated varicose veins suggest the diagnosis of saphena varix and Schwarz test confirms it. What is Schwarz test? In Schwarz test or percussion test, the most prominent part of the varicosity on the leg is tapped and its impulse is felt by the palpating finger placed over the saphenous opening or saphena varix if present. What is its significance? It indicates continuity of blood column, or in other words, incompetency of vein valves between the palpating and the percussing fingers. It also helps to confirm the diagnosis of saphena varix. How do you do the Morris's test? Make the patient lie down supine, elevate the leg to 30 degrees to empty the vein and ask the patient to cuff. If saphenofemoral valve is incompetent, a retrograde venous pressure wave is seen to rise slowly in the upper part of the vein and fall back. Which are the tests to indicate incompetency of saphenofemoral valve? Sir, presence of saphena varix and Cuvelier's sign of saphena varix, Morris's test, cuff impulse test and Brody-Trendelenburg test. How did you do the Brody-Trendelenburg test? I first made the patient to lie supine and emptied the vein by raising the leg to 30 degrees. Then I maintained pressure with my thumb over the saphenous opening and asked the patient to stand. In the first part of the test, I maintained the pressure for half a minute. The vein filled fairly rapidly from below upwards, indicating incompetency of some of the leg perforators, that is the positive first test. In the second part, I released the pressure and found that the vein fills rapidly from above and distends further, indicating incompetency of saphenofemoral valve. Thus, the Brody-Trendelenburg test is positive with both maintained pressure as well as after release of pressure, noted as positive positive. Yes, what will a negative positive result mean? It means that the test is negative with maintained pressure and positive after release of pressure. That is, the vein does not fill up when the finger blocks the saphenous opening, but fills rapidly from above when the pressure is released, which implies a pure saphenofemoral valve incompetence. Whereas incompetency of perforators alone will give a positive negative result. Is there any fallacy to this test? Sir, if the pressure maintained is not sufficient or not at the correct site, the vein may fill up and give a false positive result. Why is it called Brody-Trendelenburg test? Because it was first described by Sir Benjamin Brodie in 1846 but was popularized much later in 1890s by Frederick Trendelenburg. What are the other things named after Trendelenburg? Trendelenburg position or head-low position, Trendelenburg sign for weak abduction at the hip, classically seen in congenital dislocation of hip, Trendelenburg sign for varicose veins, Trendelenburg operation for varicose veins, and Trendelenburg operation for pulmonary embolus. The next test, Ochsner-Mahorner's differential tourniquet test or the 3 tourniquet test shows incompetency of saphenofemoral valve, ankle and below knee perforators, but not of adductor canal perforator. How did you do this test? First, I asked the patient to lie down and elevated the limb to empty the vein. Then I tied 3 tourniquets, one just below the saphenous opening in the upper thigh, one just above the knee, and one just below the knee joint, thus isolating 4 groups of constant perforators: saphenofemoral valve, adductor canal perforator in the middle third of the thigh, below knee perforator, and medial leg perforators above the ankle. Then I made the patient stand and observed which segments of the vein filled and which didn't. Asking the patient to raise himself on the toes, thus contracting the calf muscles, further distends the vein. How is the result interpreted? Filled segments indicate that the corresponding perforator is incompetent. What are the other methods of detecting incompetent perforators? Sir, on inspection, local blowouts and presence of non-saphenous varicosities, that is varicosities of veins apart from the long saphenous system. Secondly, pits in the deep fascia on palpation by Fagan's method. Then multiple tourniquet test, color Doppler ultrasonography and deep vein venography. Yes. Lastly, let us search for evidence of deep vein thrombosis. On examination for deep vein thrombosis, there is no calf swelling, no tenderness along the line of posterior tibial, popliteal and femoral veins. Homan's sign and Moses sign are negative. Perthes test is negative. What are these signs? Sir, Homan's and Moses signs are for detection of active deep vein thrombosis. In Homan's sign, forcible dorsiflexion of the foot with knee extended produces severe pain in the calf muscles. If it is negative, look for the Moses sign, that is pain on squeezing the calf muscle from side to side. And how do you palpate for the posterior tibial vein? With the patient supine, flex the knee, place the sole of the foot flat on the mattress, thus relaxing the calf muscles. Now with a flat hand, apply direct pressure over the calf, whereby deep veins will be pressed against the bones and tenderness, if present, will be elicited. This and the Moses sign should be performed very gently, for there is a risk of dislodging a thrombus with rough manipulation causing pulmonary embolus. The Perthes test is performed for detecting occlusion of deep veins. Right. What is Perthes test? Sir, the Perthes test is performed for detecting occlusion of deep veins. Normally, thrombosed deep veins invariably recanalize with passage of time. But if a patient complains of persistent bursting pain in the lower leg on standing or walking, Perthes test should be carried out. With the patient standing, a rubber tourniquet is applied to the upper thigh, tight enough to occlude the long saphenous vein but not the deep veins. Then the patient is asked to walk for about 5 minutes. If the deep veins are occluded, the pain of which the patient complains will appear. And secondly, the varicose veins will become more prominent. If the Perthes test is positive, does it mean anything to you? Sir, positive Perthes test is a contraindication to surgery because here the deep veins are blocked and the varicose veins are collateral and the sole pathway for the blood in the leg to return. So their removal or ligation will be catastrophic, resulting in a venous gangrene. Right. Anything else on examination? No significant enlargement of the inguinal lymph nodes, no intra-abdominal lump, no scrotal swelling, cord structures are normal and no evidence of varicocele. I would like to do perrectal examination and proctoscopy to rule out piles. My diagnosis is primary uncomplicated varicosities of the right long saphenous system with incompetency of saphenofemoral wall, ankle and below-knee perforators with hyperpigmentation of skin. Primary uncomplicated varicosities of the right long saphenous system with incompetency of saphenofemoral wall, ankle and below-knee perforators with hyperpigmentation of the skin. What are varicose veins? It is a term applied to dilated, elongated and tortuous veins of the superficial venous system of the legs. Which veins become varicose commonly? The superficial veins of the leg, that is long saphenous and short saphenous, lower esophageal veins, that is esophageal varices, pampiniform plexus of testicular veins, that is varicocele, and superior hemorrhoidal plexus, that is piles. Good. What would you like to do for this patient? Sir, I would like to do certain investigations, complete hemogram, urine routine, blood sugar and HbA1c, X-ray chest, ECG. Why? For routine pre-anesthetic checkup. No, any specific investigations? Color Doppler test for location and competency of perforators. Then if I was suspecting deep vein thrombosis, I would have asked for Doppler studies of the deep veins, deep vein venography for the state of deep veins and exact site of perforators. And if active deep vein thrombosis is suspected, I-131 tagged fibrinogen and serum D-dimer. Okay, how is the venogram done? By injecting the dye through superficial veins on the dorsum of the foot with an occluding tourniquet applied just above the ankle. It can also be done by intraosseous injection into the medial malleolus or as a venous phase of the arteriogram or retrograde injection through the femoral vein. Okay, what will you do for this patient? Sir, Trendelenburg operation with subfacial ligation of incompetent perforators with stripping of the vein. The second alternative will be endovenous laser ablation, which will give better cosmetic and functional results. Why not injection sclerotherapy? Sir, injection sclerotherapy has no role to play when saphenofemoral valve is incompetent and the whole length of the vein is varicose. Here, surgery or laser ablation is the treatment of choice. Injection sclerotherapy is ideal for small stray varicosities less than 3 mm in diameter, where a sclerosant is injected in a collapsed vein and immediate compression bandage is given. It destroys the endothelium and causes aseptic thrombosis, fibrosis and shrinking of the vein. If there was an ulcer in this patient, what would be your line of action? I will send the ulcer discharge for smear culture and antibiotic sensitivity in addition to the other routine investigations. I will treat the ulcer first by regular dressing, limb elevation and rest. And once the ulcer is healed, then I will proceed with the same proposed operation but with more care to ligate all the incompetent leg perforators which are invariably the cause of the ulcer. Yes. What is Bisgard's method of treating varicose ulcer? Complete bed rest with leg elevation, Gentle massage to the leg, particularly to soften the indurated area around the ulcer, passive and active movements of the foot and ankle, and dressing with firm compression bandage to reduce the edema. But it should be realized that healing of the varicose ulcer is neither the problem nor the aim, because it will always heal with rest and limb elevation. The main problem is in preventing its recurrence, for which surgery with ligation of all incompetent perforators is a must. How do you treat the leg perforators? First, locate them by color Doppler study or by venogram. Surgically, they are ligated by subfascial ligation of Cocket and Dodd by dissecting under the deep fascia. This is also done endoscopically through small port incisions, subfascial endoscopic perforator surgery, which can visualize all perforators directly. Then endovenous laser ablation can also be done, provided the long saphenous vein is connected and can be cannulated. Are there any contraindications to surgery? Yes, sir. Presence of active deep vein thrombosis, where varicose veins are the sole drainage pathway of the limb, and varicose veins of pregnancy. Other relative contraindications are recent attack of superficial thrombophlebitis in the vein, poor life expectancy of the patient, or if the patient is unwilling or unfit. This ends the 8th and the last case presentation in the series of Cassette-Clinics of General Surgery prepared by Dr. Ghanashyam Vaidya.